All right, hi. I'm Rohan from 2473, the Gold Strikers from Cupertino High School. This is, I guess, a video detailing my scouting app for the 2023 Charged Up build season. Uh, I guess first describing, the alternatives, like why I chose to make this app, how it's better, how it aims to be better, and then just going to the app itself, some cool things, and then looking to the future, what could be changed. So yeah, first, let's examine the current app. So right, our current app was or system was just a Google form, right? Pretty simple data collection at least, but then users would always be complaining about, forms in general is, and this is in the laptop layer, but if I were to be looking at this from mobile, virtual assistant. All right, there we go. See, like here, generally it's just these multiple choice. You can't really do drop downs. You can't really do anything. So it's really difficult to kind of condense stuff. Um, you know, So Google Forms, generally just had a lot of complaints. If you have a high-paced match, 30-second auto, we have a lot of questions for this, right? Let's look at auto. I mean, you know, on mobile, this is a really long section. It's not too long on my laptop, but again, consider this mobile. Teleop's got even more. So it's like, you have to go back and forth between questions. It's just difficult when you just swipe back and forth. And then, so that's what kind of the main thing this app was meant to address. I guess the next one would be data. It's not super big, but for some people, sometimes I don't know, anything could happen. You can't hotspot or you don't have access to data. So this app was kind of made to be offline to store data locally. And then when you're next connected to Wi-Fi, it'll upload the JSON data files to the cloud. So I could access it from a spreadsheet or something. Yeah, so let's go into how the app works. So I was I intended to initially just do mass scout. Pit scouting, it's not, we also use Google Forms for that. It's not an issue, I wouldn't say. It is kind of a pain, but pit scouting is not, time constricted. You can take your time with that. So it's not super big of an issue, but still, it'd be nice. Um, but yeah, so let's go into mass scout. So here, so I'm scouting, and let's say Madtown, the champions. Um, let's say match number one. Okay, let's say they were blue. Let's say this is the station, so let's say the number one. They're usually captains. Split number one, and then let's say they started here. Um, so let's see. So now we have 3023 one. This is just our starting data file, in JSON format. It's all handled through this file IO little thing I coded up. It's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see right here that this, it's just obviously what data is recorded will change. So what this enables you to do is also just go back and type in. Actually, I'll go over that later. But okay, so now we'll just, they always sort of preloaded cargo. Let's say the exit community, and they always dock and engage. Let's say these guys can pick up from anywhere. I mean, a single. Shuttle, definitely not. They're carrying the team, if anything. They only employ shuttle robots. I'll pick up two codes. I don't know. I don't think they did. Um, Okay, so now we have endgame. So you see that this is like really simple. There's just a few switches. For Google Forms, it's gonna be multiple choice. You have to put yes, no, whatnot. Um, so these same questions would be quite lengthy here. So we did try to just cut back. And just the overhead time of having to use your fingers to swipe between questions. That's all gone here. It's just just one page every question. It's not even that space. I mean, endgame is pretty packed. Endgame you have a lot more time, so. I mean, maybe this would be okay. It has been tested, but so yeah, you're just like, okay, let's say, I mean, Maton never do this. Let's say like 3,000 to, I don't know, 92, right? And so you just have all this data. That's all it is. Right? so they get activation. And then end game you will rate these teams. So auto, they have a flawless auto, flawless teleop. They never did defense, so I'm gonna put that as 0. Special circumstances, I don't know, truth tracked, notes, good robot, right? So that's that. Um, so yeah, one thing this does allow you to do is go back and kind of say, I can re-enter the same data, like for the team and match number. And what this allows me to do is like access the same exact data that I had typed in. So that's one thing. You can always go back and change your data if it was inaccurate or wrong or anything. So yeah, that's just the app, you know. It's organized in a certain way. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I guess that's the main thing you're trying to solve with this app. Now, some issues with this app, again, Flutter is just really painful to deal with. So many dependencies. It's just like it was a pain to make. Because I was always the only developer for this app, or at least for this version of the app. So it took me a few months, and by the time I had finished, it was too late. I finished this, I think, a week or two after SVR. So it's like, obviously, that's not the time you want a scouting app done. So yeah, I mean, hopefully, if we can get a bigger team, maybe for the future, create a better app. I think overall, the format of this app, I think I really liked. You wanted to structure it a certain way, and then I guess the biggest issue with this app, like the biggest, I guess, not the biggest issue, but the biggest consideration you have to make for this app would just be the structuring of like what kind of data we're trying to collect, you know? So here we have a certain specific criteria for the data we're trying to collect. Uh, right, we have to ask questions. So we had in the beginning, I sat down with a few people from scouting and then asked like, oh, okay, what are we trying to understand? What data are we collecting? So we collected the data. That's what this app, that's how this built this app. So that should be the biggest problem. And for me, the biggest issue, the biggest time commitment was just on Flutter development, which I don't think should be the answer. So hopefully, maybe for later on, I'm hoping to do a web application instead. Um, Maybe QR codes for scanning data. I don't know. I don't know how the data will work because we haven't really tested that yet. Um, but yeah, so that's one improvement, or that's one thing to look into. The second thing would just be in general scalability, longevity. Like I don't think many people would be willing to change up this app because it's just so complicated to do. So maybe if you do something in Angular or React, for a web page, that would be really easy to scale. That'd be really easy to add stuff to. That'd be really easy to edit from season to season. So yeah, that would be one thing I would change. It's just overhauling this entire app, changing frameworks. And yeah, I think overall, I mean, I think the UI was like probably the biggest improvement for this app, and what I kind of proved could be different. I mean, if we go to Figma, scouting app, a prototype here, right? So this here looks like a lot nicer. I mean, I think the app looked a little similar. Actually, not really. Uh, it is somewhat similar, but not 100%. But yeah, so yeah, this is like the same structuring though. A little different because we did have these little interactive like widgets we can select where they scored. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think this kind of prototype was pretty nice. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I think the other biggest thing about Flutter was that even though it's a Google develop like Dart specifically, even though it's a Google language, I was able to, all these buttons, everything you see here, these are all like iOS design language things. I mean, you'll see, I don't know, sort of homepage. These are all Cupertino. You see these Cupertino words everywhere. Dot Dart. every widget I kind of used was Cupertino. Like that's iOS theme. So because I think almost everybody except for two people on the team were were iOS users. So yeah. Otherwise, I mean, it's like I think the two biggest things is just that's the design of the app. So I kind of got a really good understanding of how it should look, how what would be the best way to present this, and user friendly. So yeah, I guess implementation was a bit iffy, like not done on time. Flutter was just really a pain. So probably find a better language, find a better way to implement it. I'm thinking Angular for Cal games at least, or next season, because it's just simpler. It's also a uh, Google framework, so perhaps it would work with Firebase. And then yeah, that would be about it. So yeah, I guess it's more of an experiment app, if anything, but it was cool. It was fun to make. I learned a lot about scouting, and I hope in the future probably we could make it better, given more people, given a better framework. Uh, yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's the video on the scouting app. So I hope you guys found this a little educational, or at least understand like the history of you know scouting for 2473. Um, Otherwise, yes, hopefully we'll have a better app come 2024 build season. So for now, I'm thinking and create like a mock app, at least with the framework. We have a certain set of we have a certain structure of this app. You have auto teleop. Some things will not change. Like, in general, FRC, you're trying to gauge, it just comes down to points. It just comes down to ranking points. So it's pretty easy to quantify everything. So it's just a matter of how do you want to collect that data or collect those numbers and how like how to easily or best interpret those. So this answer that first question. Probably the other interpretation that depends on our team, what we're looking for, and I guess a spreadsheet or something like that. Otherwise, yeah, that was that's everything. So yeah, all right, that's it. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys.